yeah, so today I wanted to talk about the Tesla Semi. The Tesla Semi, they announced it, and then there hasn't really been so much news about it. So I kind of wanted to give like an update talking about the Tesla Semi. Something that I think is personally, I think it's absolutely amazing what Tesla is doing here. So I just wanted to give you guys an update because the Tesla Semi, it's quite cool. So let's dive in and talk about what's so amazing about this Tesla Semi. So let's just start here on the landing page with what Tesla thinks is most important. They say it's the safest, most comfortable truck ever. It's got four independent motors to give a lot of power and acceleration, and it costs the least amount of energy cost per mile. So, basically talking about performance, it goes 0 to 60 in 20 seconds with an 80,000 pound load. That's absolutely insane. I think that the diesel truck, it'll take a minute, maybe a minute and a half even, to hit 60 miles per hour with that much of a load. So that's just insane. And that's because of the electric motor. The electric motors, they provide the instant torque and they provide a lot of torque, which allows it to pull such an insane amount of load at quite a incredible pace. It also costs less than 2 kilowatt hours per mile. So I'm guessing that that's probably assuming with a full load. So that's pretty impressive since a general like a Model X that is 300 watt hours per mile. So that's about 6 to 7 times the amount that it takes for a Model X or even a Model S. So for something that's so gigantic, that's not that bad. And that kind of speaks to what we can estimate the battery size to be. So if we actually just scroll down real quickly, the mile range, let's talk about the 500-mile range. So if it's 500 miles and it's 2 kilowatt hours per mile, that means that they've put 1,000 kilowatt hour battery in here. That's like the size of the Model S or Model X battery at its full, like the largest size is 100 kilowatt hours. They have multiplied that by 10 for the Semi. That's unbelievable. I mean, how are they producing that kind of battery and still maintaining that kind of safety? I think that's insane. And when this Tesla Semi comes out, we'll know for sure, but it's really exciting to see like, what's it going to be. And then the drag coefficient. Now this drag coefficient is really low. For a Semi, it's generally pretty large, and that's pretty impressive of 0.36. So basically, I mean, we can tell from the design right here that it's really aerodynamic. It's got like, the sweeping front end. Also, in the, in the announcement, they had these little flaps over here. Actually, no, these are the flaps, I believe, that would open and close. So basically, as the truck turns, you know that the rear, like this part, it's going to come out towards one side. So then the flaps will open for that to give more room, and then it'll close again when it's straight again. So basically that allows for more aerodynamics, and that's what's allowing for such a low drag coefficient. But anyways, let's move down. Let's talk about some of the other stuff here. So we talked about the acceleration, and then the speed up a 5% grade. So that's like up a 5% slope, which is pretty common for, within the country or cross-country road trips. You're going to get that kind of slope. And it can hit 60 miles per hour. Now, that's pretty impressive because whenever, I'm going on a long drive, always there's an uphill. And the trucks are always going, maximum 30, 40 miles per hour. So allowing for that kind of speed, it really makes the lives of the driver easier, and it makes the trip quite a lot quicker. So that's really nice. The mile range is 300 or 500. So the 300-mile range, it'll be the 150,000 base price here. 500 must be 180,000, right, as it says here. So for $30,000, you're getting 200 more miles. That's a pretty solid investment. And for large companies, they're definitely going to want to go for that top of the line 500 miles because they're going to be doing those kind of trips. Motors on the rear axles. So that's one motor powering each wheel. And basically that allows for more torque, more power. And if one motor fails, there's still 3 others to continue the job and to make sure that, you get to your destination. Then energy consumption, we talked about that. There's a lot of fuel savings. Now, I'm assuming that the fuel savings is probably based off of the general life of this truck. So I can't know for sure, but basically $200,000 in just fuel savings. This car, or this semi, comes out to a whole lot cheaper than what they're letting on. So that's why I think that it's going to make a huge dent in the semi industry, because a general diesel semi, it's maybe around 120, 130,000 for, and for just a few thousand more, you're getting an electric semi. That's insane, because well, you're gonna save a lot on money. And I believe a diesel semi, it goes only like 8 or something miles per gallon. Not even, maybe 4 or 5. So it gets really expensive with fuel costs. But going down, they have the Founder Series price and the Founder Series reservation. So basically, they're just trying to raise money through these reservations because that's what they need to produce these units. Then going down, they talk about the performance. Now, Tesla's really emphasizing the performance here. And given it is very impressive, but for a semi-driver, I mean, it's good to have. It's not that big of a deal, but it's cool that they are talking about that. Actually, one more thing that I forgot to mention is over here, we can notice that the wheels, they're completely covered. And that's because that allows for more aerodynamics. You don't want air shifting out from the lateral sides, because that interferes with the air that's coming this way, right? So, or actually this way. So if you have air going in and out of the wheels, you don't want that, because that just messes up your aerodynamics and doesn't let you get that full range. So that's why they have that. Also, the wiper blade here, I'm assuming that they might find a way to hide this, because that also interferes quite a lot with aerodynamics, because it's getting in the way of this perfect line here. So they may find a way to hide that in the actual production ready model, because I'm assuming that this is a prototype. And also they've got a frunk. That's just kind of, why not? And it's got suicide doors, which means that they open in the opposite way of a normal hinge door. And they're the cameras, actually. They don't have any side mirrors, and side mirrors actually cause a lot of interruption in aerodynamics. They're really like just kind of there, and it's bad because air is hitting it. So these are much lower profile, and of course the camera would be showing on one of the 3 screens inside. So it also actually is safer, because then you don't need to worry about making sure that the camera is angled properly, because well, the camera stays stable. Going down, you can see that it talks about safety. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about safety, because this is a big deal for something like this. So, semi, it's not an easy thing to drive. It's really hard because it's gigantic. And if you make one turn at a little high of a speed, you'll tip it over, and it can cause a huge incident on a highway. So that's why having enhanced autopilot in a semi like this allows for you to, drive with confidence, because you don't need to worry about staying in your lane. You don't need to worry about your rear end kind of wobbling around, because enhanced autopilot will take care of that. Also, that makes it a whole lot safer, not only for the driver, but for everyone else on the freeway. So that's really good to have in a vehicle like this. Also, you've got a driver position right in the center. I think this was inspired off of, a Formula One car, which is right in the center. In fact, if you guys didn't know, Elon Musk, his first supercar was a McLaren F1, which also had the middle position seating. So he might have gotten some inspiration from that. And anyways, since the battery is really low, they also talk about the low rollover risk, which is quite high in a normal diesel semi. And it's a really clean interior. If you look at a normal semi, it's cluttered, all sorts of buttons everywhere. You don't know what's going on. Over here, all you got is a steering wheel and 2 displays. So it's nice to have that simplicity here. Then going down a little more, lowest cost of ownership. Basically, it's cheaper than a diesel semi, and it's safer. It's got autopilot, so really there's no reason not to have one of these. And then you can see the video down here. Now, a few things that weren't mentioned on this page that I want to talk about are that a lot of companies have actually started reserving these semis. There's UPS, I believe FedEx, there are some soda companies, I believe. Basically, there's maybe nearly a million reservations already for the Tesla Semi, which means that a lot of companies, they're seeing the value and they want to get their hands on one of these as one of the first. And as the Semi, I believe it's set to launch later this year, or maybe next year actually. I can't remember, but as the Semi, it's going through testing. They're working on a final production ready version. They of course have to test the vehicle, and Tesla has been doing a pretty interesting job because they are testing the Semi on what they need. So they're using the Semi to bring the batteries from the Gigafactory to the Fremont factory. So a lot of people have noted spy shots of the Tesla Semi as it charges at superchargers while it's making its road all the way down. So that's really cool to see that Tesla, they're actually using it for their needs. And another spy shot that we had seen of the Tesla Semi was at a UPS event. I believe Tesla held like some sort of a private event for UPS. Since that UPS, they reserved something like 100 or something Tesla semis. So that's pretty cool that they're giving that sort of treatment to them. Actually, I think I may have misspoke. Not 1 million have been reserved. 1,000 have almost been reserved. But anyways, that was pretty much it. The Tesla Semi, it's really interesting, and I think it's going to be a big thing for Tesla since this actually comes out to be cheaper than the current alternative. So I'm really excited to see where this goes, and thank you guys for watching. If you have any suggestions for future videos, let me know down in the comments because we'd love to do a video on that. Thanks for watching, and if you did enjoy, give it a like, and if you want to see more content, hit the subscribe button. See you in the next one.